We'll get rolling. And I'm like going to do my best to not look at this that much because it's much better when I'm just talking to you. Also, I don't want you. You can't know the questions.
You can't know them. Right. What if I just read
the questions?
I read the question. I like mumble the question to myself and then go, So yeah.
We ready?
Okay,
Steven, I remember the very first time that I walked into Basalt by myself. I've been here with different groups. I've been here with my wife before. I've been here with some friends. But I remember the very first time that I walked in and sat at this counter right over here.
Yeah.
You guys didn't know this at the time, but I was like proper sad. And I was like proper like in this space of like, oh man, I'm kind of having a day, and I brought my book.
Yeah.
And I sat at the counter and I ordered a burrito, and you and your sister talked with me for 45 minutes, like unprompted in general. The reason why I'm leading with this story is because to me, that embodies kind of like how you guys are as people, but also like the community and culture you've kind of built around this restaurant is like extremely welcoming, extremely like, hey, what's up? How's your day going? What can I get for you? How can I treat you? You guys didn't know at the time, but I was sitting there like, I needed this.
No, I had no idea.
Yeah, you had no idea.
If anything, I was worried like, oh, I'm distracting this guy from like enjoying his time alone.
Nope, not
so
even a little
I'm
bit.
really glad to hear that was good for you.
It was wonderful. I mean, like the best part is like obviously your sister is an avid reader, so are you.
Yeah.
We obviously could talk books and we could talk about that all day instead of talk about Basalt and what's going on here. But like that's a different time. That's a different conversation. The way that you treat the community, in my impression, is kind of like how you treat everybody that kind of walks into this restaurant. But I'm curious, Basalt, at the inception of it, how did this all even start for you?
Yeah. I mean, a big part of it was kind of the aftermath of some burnout. The restaurant industry is pretty tough, and it has a tendency to kind of churn people out. I think if you talk to anybody who's been working in restaurants for a long time, there's this kind of sense of not really feeling like a human when you're at work, and especially from leadership and from guests. I had a really wonderful opportunity to work at a local place that's closed a few years ago, but had really become like a cornerstone community place. I think
R.I.P. Marika Treves.
I think that place did a really great job of making people who came in feel really welcome, and like that was a second place, but there was still a lot of work to do with the actual like staff and how that went. So when I came out of there, I went through a string of jobs over the next about a year, and almost every place was worse than the last. I had like 5 jobs that year, and the only one I didn't hate was working for the folks over at Broadleaf. So shout out to them, because that leadership team is really awesome. But a lot of harsh lessons, and I kind of got to the point where I was like, I either am out of restaurants forever, or I got to figure out how to do this in a way that makes me feel like a person. And so it just so happened to be really funny timing, where by the time I was done like working on a lot of these ideas and ready to sell my first taco, COVID hit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Perfect timing.
Yeah.
Perfect timing.
We sold our first taco in February of 2020. And then within like 4 weeks, the entire country and world was shut down. Yeah, it was really wild. But then, we heard from, and that was at the Fulton Street Farmers Market, and we heard from them in April that they were going to reopen in May.
Oh, wow.
And so there's a lot of back and forth about whether or not that was like smart or responsible. But at the end of the day, I felt like they were approaching it in a really safe way, and I was craving connection with people and something to do, and I think everybody was.
It was a wild time.
Yeah, and so being able to go from basic isolation to every week having a place to go where people were eager to be out and do something and support each other and support their community. I was able to grow the business that year at the Fulton Street Farmers Market. And so when we decided to make that next step into a brick and mortar, I was thinking a lot about that. Like, how can we bring that sense of community and togetherness and like local support and support of one another to a singular physical location. And that was the intent with this place, is really to give people a place, whether you're eating here, picking up, working here, one of our vendors, one of our suppliers, to make sure that when you come in, you feel like you belong to this space. Because I think a lot of people are looking for that because they're not getting it at work or at home or in these other spaces that they're going to.
It almost sounds like you're leaning into like a third space vibe. Is that would you consider yourself what would they say, a third space, or is it more of like there's a heart behind it? I know that's a nuance, but I'm curious.
No, I think that initially it was that kind of there's a heart behind it feeling, and as we've evolved and as we've changed the space, added things like our coffee program, and now as we're making this transition, I think that idea of a third space is even more important. A lot of the feedback that I'm getting is from folks especially in the queer community, who feel like this is one of the few places in town where they feel safe and welcomed and like they belong without any kind of pandering or being like pointed out or anything. We're really careful about that. We never talk about like, this is a place for this type of person or anything. The closest we get to that is all kinds are welcome except for the unkind.
Yeah. Which I think is very appropriate. And then I'd also say my favorite sign is right over here on this door. It's a very clear signal to me in regards to like where you guys' values lie, which to me is amazing.
And again, it's one of those things where like we try not to lean too much into like identity politics, but we're also not shying away from our values and the things that we think are important. So we're not out here shouting from the rooftops, this, that, or the other, but we are practicing those things, whether it is those simple things that communicate to people who walk in the door what we're about, or the nonprofits that we work with, that kind of thing.
But I do want to ask you, you've been in this community for a little while now, not just at the farmers market, but a lot of the local nonprofits here. You've been in this building in East town for a while now, and this building has got its storied past and a bunch of other stuff, but like you guys cut some of your checks and support other organizations, and I don't think people really even know that about Basalt. And sometimes I think people are like, I don't know about the price points, and I was like, well, there's a lot of reasons for the price points, but also it's not just about Basalt.
Right. Yeah.
What other organizations are you guys kind of like supporting when it comes to the work that you do on a daily basis?
So we've got longstanding relationships with the Trans Foundation, the Pride Center, and Kids Food Basket. Those are the three big ones that we're working with kind of all year, every year, whether it's through events that we're doing or kind of sustained giving. And when I say sustained giving, like we're not necessarily cutting checks, but we are providing food or services. So, with Kids Food Basket, every year we do the farm to table chef's dinner. So this will be the third year that we do it.
Awesome.
And then with the Pride Center, we are feeding the youth group that they have every week. We're feeding them once a month. And then we also have donated for events that they have, like the Prism Awards. And then with the Trans Foundation, we've done a lot of things with them, but most notably is this year will be our second annual Flourish dinner, which is a giving dinner, essentially. So we provide the space and we provide food, and then they put on a really nice benefit event. Yeah,
that's so cool. See, I mean, these are the kinds of things that I like. I knew this from the first time that I sat with you. You're never going to be shouting these things from the rooftop because it's just like your character. And I really am and I mean this word intentionally, attracted to people that they walk the walk and they talk the talk. It's not a performance thing. It's not this like, hey, look at me, I'm really trying to shine here. It's like a genuine like, why doesn't everybody do that?
Well, so before I opened the brick and mortar, there's a series of like conversations that happen at the downtown market called culinary conversations, and they'll have like a panel. I've spoken on it once or twice, and every time they do it, it's like a different subject. And so I went before we opened the space to one with some local restaurateurs who were talking, and I asked a question about giving. And like how they build that into their business model, and the response that I got was not particularly friendly to that. It was basically like that should be the last thing on your list of priorities, and I get that to a certain extent because we live in a capitalist society, and when it comes to business comes first, right? Of course. But that's been another thing here that I think we do different, that makes things a little more challenging, but I think contributes to that feeling that you were talking about, which is the business isn't really the first priority here. It's a lot more about being responsible community members, giving back to our community because the community is supporting us. And again, like making sure that anybody who's in here feels like a human first. And I think when money, profit, whatever it is your first priority, you naturally have to sacrifice a lot of those things that put humanity first. And like, is it good business practice that I do that? No, probably not. But quite frankly, like if we can't exist in a way that is beneficial to everybody here, then I don't see the point.
I love that answer. Okay, I'm going to pivot away because I know that you'll get uncomfortable if I live too long in what you're giving status.
Sure, yeah.
But I do want to ask about where the name Basalt came from. And then I also want, like, in that same vein, let's do a little bit of before and after here, because obviously we're in a transition period. Like, things are shifting here pretty heavily. But I think, planting a flag so people know, like, why this name kind of even exists and how it even started. And then let's talk about the new name, too.
Sure, yeah. This is one of my favorite questions because I get to use a prop. So if you don't know, this is a molcajete, which is a very old and traditional implement for cooking in Southern and Central America.
Okay.
So there's many forms that this take with different names, but this is the one that I grew up with in the house.
Literally, that's the one that you grew up with?
No, I don't know what my dad did with his.
Yeah.
But this style, so this molcajete is the style. And traditionally, this would be used to grind spices, to make salsas and guacamole and stuff like that. And it's this beautiful volcanic rock called basalt. So basalt is like one of the most common forms of stone on the earth. It makes up something like 70% of the Earth's crust.
What?
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, me either. Until I looked. So here's the deal: is I had this list. I had like 50 names that I was like, these might all, and I narrowed it down to a couple. And one of the ones I really liked was molcajete because I loved this imagery. And like I said, we always had one on the counter. My dad never used it, so it always just like held peppers and onions and stuff. But I just love that imagery. It really reminded me of home and growing up. But we live in West Michigan, and there's some letters in molcajete that you wouldn't anticipate, and I just couldn't bear the idea.
We live in a predominantly white part of Michigan that people might not be able to pronounce the actual name. I just couldn't
bear the idea of people coming in here talking about it and be like, "Have you been in that Molcajete place?" I was like, I can't do it. And
that was actually pretty accurate.
And so I dug a little deeper, and that's when I was like, well, what's this thing made out of? Like, this is the thing my entire life I've had one. Like, what is this? And so that's where I started learning about that. And I love that imagery, too, because a big part of the reason I liked this was that this is really the foundation of Central and Southern American cooking. Without this and the other forms, there's another form that's like a slope, and this is like a bar, and that's what's traditionally used to grind nixtamalized corn into masa, right? Well, without nixtamalization and masa, there's no unlocking the true nutrients of corn, and so corn tortillas specifically, are the reason that large empires in Central and South America were able to form, because it unlocked this source of nutrition that was otherwise unavailable. and allowed larger populations to grow, right? It's this really incredible history. And then same with this other form is the foundation of all these things we really take for granted, like salsa and guacamole and all these different things. And so I love that imagery of like, this is the foundation. Like Tex-Mex is not a traditional Mexican food, right? It is very much born out of people moving from Mexico into the Southwest. And, I could talk about that forever. But this is like where it all comes from, right? Amazing. So I loved that. And then the fact that this is made out of something that is so foundational to the planet that we live on just spoke even more to that kind of, we're building on a foundation. What we're doing is different. What we're doing is not traditional or authentic to this idea of Mexican food or whatever, but it is authentic to my experience and to what we love and our values, and it's all built on a foundation that is centuries and millennia old.
Can you see? Yeah, can you see my arm?
I do. Yeah,
that's see hilarious. That? Those are called goosebumps, because the funny part for me is like, you actually are like, there's an actual story behind it. There's one that like, I can't tell you the number of people that like start things that are just like, oh, it's just a name, or it's just like I had a quick one idea, and like there's value in that too. But like you actually, it's part of our Earth's crust. It's part of your lore. It's part of where like your family. Like there's so many layers to it. All right, now let's talk about the new name.
Yeah.
So why are we pivoting to this new name? Obviously, you said something a little bit in your video that you put out the other day, and by the time you probably get these edits, it'll be a little bit. Few more days, obviously, but I'm super curious around the new name.
Yeah,
why we're going.
Yeah,
to this
I picked
spot.
This one at random. There's
Okay.
Again, it kind of comes back to a feeling I want to evoke and a story that I want to tell. So part of it is that I've been obsessed with barbecue for the last 2 years. I made for one of those kids' food basket dinners, I decided I'm going to do a brisket taco. I'd never done brisket before, so I spent a week furiously ruining briskets to teach myself how to smoke a proper brisket.
You gotta ruin it a little bit to get
just there. Wasting so much money, but eventually got there, and this kind of sparked this obsession with again another sort of traditional method. When I started Basalt, before I had a name, before I had recipes, the first thing I did was teach myself how to make tortillas, because I figured I need to learn how to do this foundational thing the right way first. And so ASADA has been born kind of out of that too, which is I'm from Texas, and I want to learn how to do a Texas brisket the right way.
I want to jump into what it's like running a restaurant in Grand Rapids. So mostly what has it been like running this restaurant, and what are you excited for this pivot, nervous for this pivot? Because obviously you've kind of had the whole experience. You talked about the burnout, so I'm super curious. What is it even like running a restaurant in Grand Rapids these days? Because I don't think people have any cognitive care or even understanding about this. A lot of people run businesses. A lot of people have jobs. Running a restaurant is completely different than all of those things. Yeah,
it's a really challenging industry, and I think most people don't understand that. And I think a lot of that has to do with how kind of fucked up our food system is in this country. If you go to a fast food place, a chain joint, some of these larger franchise or national chains, you get this really warped expectation of where food comes from and how much it should cost and all of these things that are so far removed from the reality of small local businesses. Some of that, especially with the pricing, I feel like that's the big thing for most people, is so many people don't understand how much it really costs to produce a single taco or a side of mac and cheese or whatever it is. And that makes it really difficult when we are trying to be very intentionally rooted in the community. I don't know how to communicate with that, with folks about those things, because you can't lecture people, and you certainly can't lecture individuals over and over and over and try to educate. But I'm competing with places like Chili's, right?
Right. You're competing with every restaurant in Grand Rapids.
Right. And the thing is, when a big place like that can offer a full meal, a burger, chips and salsa, fries, and a soda for like $11. Well, they're doing that because they're exploiting people along the way, right? They're exploiting the labor in those places. They're exploiting the labor of different food systems, and also they're so massive that they can order.
Their buying power.
Their buying power is so incredible, that they can get better prices than I can, and all these things. And also, they're not giving back to their communities, right? They're not doing all these things. So, It has created a really frustrating situation where really the number one complaint we get is about our pricing, but it's also really difficult to explain to folks that the reason that we're pricing the way we do is because we pay our employees a fair living wage. We try to source locally as much as possible. We're giving back to our community, all these things. And in reality, our pricing is really like as low as we can afford.
Yeah.
Like it's really, really
also
tough.
They're not that bad. For anybody that's like actually complaining about it, they're used to diner style breakfast,
which is
a different game entirely.
Right. And I would say West Michigan breakfast culture is a diner culture.
Yes.
And that has also been a challenge for us because we really are a niche concept in Michigan. Back home, in Texas, Southwest, even Southern California, what we do here is very understood. People get it, and they're looking for it. Whereas here, we really rely on people discovering us and being curious enough to come check it out.
Right.
And I think we all have fallen into this habit or do fall into this habit of going to places that are comfortable and like ordering the same things over and over.
I don't know what you speak of. I don't ever order the breakfast burrito here.
So
once have I ordered the breakfast burrito here.
So it's really tough to get a customer who's, we're a block away from, I would say, arguably the most well-known and popular breakfast restaurant
hands down,
in the city, right?
Yeah.
It's really tough to get folks who've been going there for decades, or when they come here for college or move here, or whatever. Right. It's safe.
Yep.
It's cheap. And for what it is, it's good. But that's what we're competing with. Right. How do we get people who, when they think about breakfast, what they're thinking about is a diner plate, how do we get them to start thinking about other options outside of the weekends? We're very busy on the weekends. We're a little overloaded on the weekends, but then the rest of the week we're like twiddling our thumbs because they're empty.
And that's part of the pivot too.
Yeah, people get brunch, I think. And so on Saturdays and Sundays, people are looking for brunch, and that's how they find us. But the rest of the week, when they're looking for breakfast, they're looking for diner food. And so, part of the pivot is to have something that's a little more broadly understood, still with the same influences and still something unique to us. But people get barbecue, people get burgers, and people are looking for those things. Very few people here are looking for breakfast tacos unless they've already been here or they're from a place where that's very common. We do have a lot of, I call them expats, native Texans who live up here. Yeah.
Okay. I appreciate that. We're gonna jump into something called what we call quick fire questions. Okay. Mostly because obviously I've had the pleasure of getting to know you recently. I'd say over the last 3 months or so, but I don't think many people in general, I mean, obviously outside of the community that you forged here, but like the internet and the people that are going to be watching these videos, I want them to get to a little bit of behind the scenes of who you are. So it's quite simple: coffee or cocktails?
Cocktails,
not coffee. I really thought you were going to go to coffee. No. All right, one kitchen tool you can't live without.
Oh, the chef's knife. You're holding it. Yeah.
Is it this one?
Yeah, that is my.
Yeah. Dream guest you'd love to cook for?
Oh God, Beyonce.
Whoa.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah.
Honestly, when she was in Detroit not too long ago, and I was like praying. I was like, just come to pop over and quiet. I know she shops at Target in her hoodie, in disguise. I was like, just come here, I'll feed you for free.
That would be amazing if Beyonce came through here. I think it would. Like, you would just get that, put the photo on the wall. Like, you could retire after that.
I'd be done. Yeah.
Go-to comfort food after a long shift.
Oh,
Gotta be honest.
Yeah, it's like a turkey sandwich.
Really?
Yeah, white bread, black pepper, turkey, slice of cheese, any kind of cheese. I don't really care, and so much mayo. Yeah.
No mustard?
It depends. I love mustard, but I'm like mustard on like a dog kind of guy.
Okay.
On that sandwich, I smash it. It's like a weird thing I got from my dad. Yeah.
That is comfort food varies heavily between individuals.
Yeah.
That is literally.
Well, you said specifically after a shift.
That's right.
If it was like if I'm like wandering down here,
there's
on
no
a random
wrong answer.
Off,
this is your answer. I just have never heard a turkey sandwich after a long shift. It checks out.
Yeah.
Because also you don't have to do anything other than
it's
put it all together.
It's so low effort. Yeah.
Okay.
So good.
That's
that white. It's really the white bread. It's all sugar.
That's amazing. Favorite local ingredient to cook with?
Oh, we get really beautiful mushrooms from Mycophile's Garden. We met them at the farmer's market in 2020, and they just do a really incredible job. All their mushrooms are fantastic, and every now and then they'll surprise us with like a beautiful pink oyster or something like that. And we've just found that no matter what we get from them, we can do some really wonderful, fun things and put out just incredible food. Yeah,
that's amazing. Best dish on your menu currently, Basalt's menu.
Yeah, in my opinion, I think the biscuits and gravy.
Really?
I know the breakfast burrito. The breakfast burrito is super popular, and I'm very proud of it. It's very good. But I'm like when I go to a new breakfast spot, I try the biscuits and gravy, and for me that is the measure.
That is a good litmus test. Yeah. Or do they know what they're doing?
Do they know what they're doing? I'm really proud of our biscuits. They're like something that we're continuously trying to improve and do better on, and the gravy is really wonderful. And the way that we do it is folks can get a choice of protein, and we've got vegan options, and I just think it is like all around the most welcoming and delicious thing on the menu.
Okay. Yeah. Best dish you're looking forward to on the new menu, if you're willing to share it all?
The brisket.
The brisket.
Yeah, okay. I'm so excited about this brisket.
Okay, good. I am too. I do love me some brisket, so I'm looking forward to just actually trying a bunch of new things, solely based off of. I want to just rant a little bit about you, mostly because in my career I've had the pleasure and joy and sometimes terror of working with a lot of different kinds of people.
Sure, yeah.
And I can't tell you the number of people when they are faced with what you have kind of stepped into, either A, start turning into a victim and start blaming everyone else around them, and or the systems and or the pricing or the president or what, it doesn't matter. Like very quickly the blame starts going other places. Yeah. Or they literally crumble from the pressure and take it so fully on themselves that they like go into like the shame spot where like this is all my fault. I can't believe. And so I've seen both of those. Yeah. My favorite people that when it comes to like these situations are people that are able to go like, oh wow, how do I face this now? Like they are clear-eyed. They understand that this is not what they wanted. This is not what they wanted to like happen to whatever dream that they were going through, but they were able to like look at it completely with eyes wide open and then start being like, all right, what kind of changes do I have to do? Yeah. And I think you should be celebrated for that. And I think that you should be like known for that, because I meant the comment that I said, like you pivoted and you're now doing something completely different. And I mean, I know it makes me and Dom excited to even just like be around you, because like this kind of energy and what you're bringing is so cool. And it's like what this town needs more of. And I think people don't understand, like, this isn't normal. You could have just been like, I'm so done with this. Like, get the fuck out. Like, I'm done. Look, you know what I mean? Like,
I gotta be honest.
I'm sure that feeling happened too.
It's it comes and goes, like those feelings, and there's like a cycle, right? And like, don't get me wrong, like there is and was a plan in place for like, okay, how do we just wind this thing down?
Yeah.
But it required us to continue to look at options, right? And again, my big thing is like, it's really important to me that we're serving the community. Does it serve the community more for us to close or to try to adapt? And if there's one thing I learned in 2020 when we were like really getting this thing off the ground, is how to adapt. And so my feeling was we should do what we can, anything that we can, because I know that this place is really special and important to a lot of people, including my staff, you know. And so that's kind of where the pivot was born out of, is we could throw in the towel. And I think there's a lot of reasons why that's a legitimate and viable response.
Right.
Or we can try something else. And if that doesn't work, it doesn't work. But if it does, then we tried, and that's great, you know.
I kind of want you to like literally, similar to how you talked to the camera before. We call this our soapbox moment. Okay. Like this is the open platform for you to like express how you really feel. So you might need a drink of water for this one. Running a restaurant right now isn't easy, and we know you're not alone in this struggle. Yeah. I want to give you a chance to speak openly. What do you want people to know about what's happening that typically they're just not going to know simply because of the inside baseball? Sure. And then there's a kind of a tag onto that. This is kind of the afterthoughts. What do you wish customers, the city, or even other business owners understood about what it takes to keep a restaurant alive?
Oh, wow.
The floor is yours.
Yeah. I mean, I think it just all comes back to values and priorities. If you love, like I know that a lot of people in this city do, if you love your neighborhood, your neighbors, the places that you go, the places that are unique to this city, and there's something really special about this city. It's not like the best place in the world, but it's so far from the worst also. And the people here, especially like in this kind of like downtown, uptown area, the people here really care, and I think that's a really beautiful and rare thing. If you want the places that you love to continue to be around, it requires real action, and it requires a little bit of sacrifice. And this is something even I'm doing, which is, you know, I'm out here preaching about shopping local, supporting local, and what that means is, even though I fucking love Pizza Hut, I'm not buying any Pizza Hut anymore,
right?
Because they are not contributing to the local food economy. They're not contributing to our community. They're not making the lives of our neighbors better. Places like Quarantino's are, and they're damn good too. I want to be really clear on that. But you know, when you get those cravings, and it's like, I want this thing, and unfortunately, that's like part of American culture, right? It's like McDonald's, right? Is such a good example of that.
Of course,
it's like, who didn't grow up getting Happy Meals? There's like this nostalgia baked into almost every person in this country for stuff like that.
I'm partial to Taco Bell, but yes. That's a whole other podcast.
But you know, being more conscious about decision making, which is, I've got this $20 to spend, or this $12 to spend, whatever it is. Where is that money going to go?
Yeah.
Is that money going to go to a place where, the employees there are going to, you know, get their check or whatever, but then it's eventually going to get funneled up to some million or billionaire CEO or board of directors or whatever? Or is that money going to go to a local place where that money is going to then go back into the community, because that place is paying their staff well, buying from local producers and local vendors, giving back to their community? I think the beautiful thing about this place, one of the things I'm really proud of, is that when somebody spends money here, that money is going directly back into Easttown, Uptown, Grand Rapids in general.
You're going to keep it weird over here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we love this place. Yeah. I love Easttown. I love Uptown. And it's really important to me that we do whatever we can to keep this place vibrant and alive. And that we don't have big money coming in and gentrifying and commercializing everything. And unfortunately, we see a lot of that happening. And the only way to prevent that, to prevent your wages from going down, to prevent more prices from coming up, to make sure that there's money being invested in your roads, your schools, your homes, like all that, is to shop locally, period. You know?
Couldn't agree more. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you would want to touch on so far in this? I know that we've been talking for a little while now. And I know that we could honestly we might actually have to do another one of these just as like a round 2 after like feedback based off of all the stuff that's kind of come through.
Sure.
I do want to give you another opportunity though, maybe even just to like call out names of like maybe your staff or people that you really like, because I know that this isn't like a, you know, Steven shouldered all of this and like and like it was just by your blood, sweat, and tears alone with no help whatsoever got here. Like, I know that that's not who you are. Obviously, you've sacrificed, you've worked your face off, you've done all those kinds of things. But like, maybe who are some people that you would just love to be like, hey, thank you, you got me from here? Or it's, I mean, the story that struck me is like, even your landlord being like, hey, what can we do to like, we want to keep you here. That to me is like, wow.
It's
like
rare.
that is super rare from a landlord.
It's really rare. And you bring up a really good point, which is this story, this place, what we're doing, what we've done, what we're going to do next is really not about me at all. And that's a big part of the reason why a lot of our marketing and branding really unless it's big announcements stuff, really has nothing to do with me. And I know there's a lot of people who come in here and they assume I'm a line cook or a busboy or whatever, and I love that. I'm fine with that.
You're like, cool.
Because the story really is about the community. It's about the folks who are coming in here, and none of this is possible without my staff. People who are here now, people who have come through, and people who've helped me along the way. I've got some really close friends. Who, you know, when I was trying to form this, Stacy Beavers Thompson, Kara Bolt, folks who have worked with other small businesses or owned other small businesses at some point, who helped me kind of figure out how to piece this thing together before I even sold my first taco. My best friend, or one of my best friends, Katie Mannion, her husband Andrew has been with me since day one here. He's
Andrew's a gem.
Yeah, he's my general manager now. But when I hired him, I just needed hands, and he had never worked in a restaurant before. And I was like, I'll teach you how to make tacos. I just need a body here. And it turns out that he is, like you said, a gem. He is really the like pulse of this space, and has been my ride or die since day one. I couldn't do without him. We've got a really amazing staff now. Charles, Ben, Solomon, Indigo, and
what
some
great names.
Yeah, I know, right? We try to only hire cool people. No, and you know, some folks who have come through and who still remain on our roster. You know, Kai, Shai, Grace, a lot of Sam, a lot of other people who have come and gone for various reasons, but who through time and giving their energy and their work and their ideas and perspective have really shaped this place into something special. And yeah, I do have to give a shout out to the landlord. When we moved in, we had so many people come in and say, this place is cursed.
Yep.
These people are no good, you know, all this stuff. And what that told me was that I needed to foster a relationship with them that was genuine and built on a mutual understanding and mutual trust. And, you know, it's a business relationship, and there's been ups and downs. But, you know, like you said, when I approached them about, you know, what to do, because things have been really tough, their response to that was, we want to support you. We want to help you in any way that we can. And we want you to stay. Which, you know, for me was a really pleasant surprise. It's not like I expected them to be like, get out of here, but it's a business relationship, right? And so my expectation was, when I approached them and said, hey, we're struggling, I'm not really sure how we're going to make it through this year, like, these are the things that we're looking at. I think it's in their best business interest to say, all right, well, thanks so much. You know, we'll do our best to find a new tenant. And I think instead what they've done is they've seen that we've been here a long time. We're the longest tenant who's been in here in the last like decade.
Yeah, easily.
And they've said, we believe in what you're doing. We believe in your skill and your talent and what you're doing for this community, and we want to support that. What can we do? How can we work on this together? We want you here. And that's a really wonderful thing. I really appreciate them. They've been like mentors to me in a lot of ways. Kind of making sure that I don't get too far into the creative mind part, reminding me
what's the practical,
hey,
these margins, you need to actually make some money.
I mean, we've actually had conversations like that where they've helped me kind of like rein things in and figure out, really kind of like we have this set of values and beliefs. Which of those things are important enough that we have to stick with them, and where can we find some compromises in some ways to ensure that those core beliefs are upheld?
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. I don't really have any other questions for you, man. Cool. Like I think that maybe you and I, even after a week or two, or even after ASADA has opened, I think we should probably sit down again and like just tell people. And like I think you're going to have even more stories, based off of the engagement you're getting locally. I think that's again, I just want to commend you. I think that what you're doing is awesome. Obviously, we're really excited and want to be supportive, and and that's why we're doing this. But you should be really proud.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Cool.
Cool. Thanks, you guys.